Yeah?
Oh man,
We doing this?
we are doing this, and there's nothing in the entire world that would make me happier. Let me just tell you.
Nice to meet you, Phil.
Oh, it is an absolute joy to meet you.
Where are you in the world today? That's fantastic to hear.
Ooh, I'm in Brisbane, just north of Brisbane, Australia.
Sure. What brought
In
you
the
there?
northern.
You sound Australian.
I do not sound Australian. I am my wife. My wife Susan.
Love.
The oh man,
Love
she
get
is a
it.
explosion of beauty and goodness.
Fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, and you kind of grow up in that whole world of all the things Southern.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up there. When I hit 20 or so, I moved up to Nashville, Tennessee, like an hour and a half north, because I fell in love with playing the drums. And where I was at the time, a lot of the music I was listening to, so this would be mid to late 90s, and so in early 2000s, there's a whole lot of contemporary Christian music that drove me up to Nashville to play drums for a lot of those artists. And that was a lot of fun. And I did that for most of my 20s, just bouncing around, playing with all kinds of folks. And then through a bass player friend who was on tour in Australia, who met the guy who did the insurance for the tour, blah, blah, blah. His wife was my now wife's best friend, and they met, and he ended up introducing her to me. And yeah, and as of 2 nights ago, 13 years ago, we got married as of 2 nights ago. And
That's a good story.
It has been full of joy and full of pain and difficulty and struggle and questioning whether we were going to make it as a couple, questioning whether she was going to make it because she's gone through 2 sets of breast cancer, and which were a stage 2 diagnosis when she was 31.
Whoa.
And then again, so our coming to Brisbane was a result of breast cancer diagnosis in 2015, and that spun out in all kinds of scary and all those kinds of things, and we were on the rocks majorly. Our relationship was on the rocks. Her life was on the rocks. As we began to put our life back together from that, we fell pregnant with a beautiful little girl named Olivia, and we lost her at 19 weeks. And she was this symbol of hope and new life and fresh beginnings. And so we named her as soon as we found out we were pregnant. We were like, oh, she's got a name, and her name's Olivia, which tied into the olive branch and peace and fresh start and all of that. And then she was gone. And you go, well, man, what do you do with that? And so one of the ways that we grieved, and one of the ways we said we're still committed to this new life together, was a change of space and a change of environment. And so we moved from Nashville. We sold everything. We moved here in 2016 with Porter and Aria, and then who are waving to me out my window. Hi guys. A year later, 2017, we fell pregnant again. We just don't seem to know how this thing works somehow, but it keeps happening. And so we had a little 6-week-old little boy named Levi. And when he was 6 weeks old, Suze was told, cancer's back. It's stage 4. It's terminal. I remember standing there with Levi in my arms with this lady saying, "Do you understand what I'm telling you?" And we said, "Yes, we understand what you're telling us." And they said, "As young as you are, as aggressive as this thing is, all the stats they had said pointed to 12 months of life that we had with Suze." And 7 years later, we are going strong, my brother. We are going so strong.
What a life. Yeah.
Come in. I've got little ones.
Hi.
These guys are saying hello. They are on their way to school. This is oh, sorry. This is Levi.
Yeah.
This
We
is
got
Porter.
the crew.
That's Aria.
What is going on? Guys, I see you.
And this is
all 3 eyeballs see you.
And
Hi,
this is my
Suze.
lovely Suze.
Hi, Rob.
We got the whole crew there.
The whole
I got
crew.
you, sorry.
Yep, you're in my ear, unfortunately. But
That is awesome.
Well, we just wanted to say hi, and the kids wanted to say bye to Dad before we went to school, so
I get
nice
that.
to meet you.
Look at that crew.
That's what they do.
Bye,
Mr. Rob. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye. Dad.
Have a good day.
All right.
Bye.
What is there to say?
It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5 years ago, I kept having this thing coming up in my brain that just kept saying, Susan and I would go for walks, and we just kept saying, "This is it. This is it. This is the deal. It isn't somewhere else."
You know about the universe being omnicentric? You familiar with that? Omnicentrism? The universe has been, you have a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago, and the universe is expanding for 13 billion years. So in an expanding universe, every point within the universe is technically the center of the universe.
Yes.
You can't have a fixed center if something keeps expanding. So every point that you are in the universe is technically the center of the universe. So it's just interesting to think about that in terms of missing out on the action when it's actually not possible. By the way, are we doing an interview? Did you want to do are we doing an interview?
Oh, we're recording, man.
Oh,
this is going. We're in.
Love it. Great.
We're in. I said in my email, you are the gift. You're the gift. And yes, I've got questions about the book. I've got all that. But the gift is you and your presence. And and to be with you. We can hang up now, and this is a good day. We can hang up now, and this is a good day.
I love it. I love it. So great.
We just finished a round of blogs and podcasts on the idea of ritual and the importance of making sacred the details. So my first question, I guess, for you is, what does an October 31st Thursday look like in the world of Rob Bell? What are the rhythms that you are currently finding helpful to keep you connected?
Well, I wake up and walk the dog. I mean, could you start higher up on the mountain than that? Yeah, we live at the foot of a mountain, actually. And so for me, movement, my day is organized around moving, like moving the body. Mm-hmm. So walk the dog, bit of a workout. Then my daughter and I take her to school, which is the best. She immediately gets in the car, Bluetooths her phone to the car, and she's a master at the playlist. So we discuss whatever we're listening to. We discuss whatever we're up to. It's the best. So my kids have always been central to the rituals of my life because they've always provided a certain structure. My boys are out of the house now, which I'm still adjusting to. But
Yeah.
and when I'm done talking to you, I'm in my studio now, but then I'll go pick her up and it'll just be the best. Then I come here, I paint, and then I write and do whatever I'm doing, and then I go surfing. Then I come back here,
Oh.
and I often ride my bike here to the studio. So I just now rode my bike here. Oh yeah, I have there's an organic bakery around the corner, so I pick up my loaf of sourdough with olives. Well, the loaf lasts me half the week, and then I go get my next loaf. Yeah, so my life is a series of very they're like, I would say simple but elegant. The simplicity that contains all the complexity. Good coffee, good bread. I went for a hike today at lunch because the waves weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
And then come back here and whatever projects I have going. Yeah, I just started Patreon, so I have I'm building
I
like a
love it.
whole world of writing and storytelling and interaction and then once a month people come here to Ojai and sit under the trees with me. They bring their question about their life, about their project, about their work, about whatever they're doing. And I sit with them and things happen. That's how I describe it. Bring your question, things will happen. Yeah. So your question's a really interesting one because over the years, when I think about it, everything has just gotten slower and better. I'm not busy. I'm not rushed. There's very little on the calendar. Like right now, for the next couple months, once a day, I'll do an interview about Where'd You Park Your Spaceship, Book 2. But like there's an architectural dimension to a calendar. Like when you look at a calendar, it's like a great building. You're like, oh yeah, it'd be a great way to spend November. That's how it works. Right now I'm finishing a new play. So that's like a writing project, and then I can feel the next book then I'll start the next book. Yeah, that's how it works. It's very calm. It's very serene. And then all kinds of things happen within that. I get angry. I'm sad. I get really pissed off. I'm euphoric. It's a whole world of thoughts, perceptions, senses, feels that all take place within that. Oh, yeah.
Is your next project another spaceship?
Yeah, I'm
Is it
always
book
there's yeah, yeah.
three,
Book
maybe,
3,
or-
we'll start in on book 3, and there's always several things going on like that
Yeah.
brings me a lot of joy.
So we'll just affectionately call it the spaceship series then. I'm such a huge fan of Douglas Adams, and his book 5 in the trilogy, book 6 in the trilogy.
Yes.
The ever expanding trilogy. This spaceship series, my brother, this is your wisest work. I don't know if you're a Tolkien fan, but I've studied a bit of his life, and obviously he was a linguist before he was a writer, and a professor of Anglo-Saxon and all these things, and he had written the languages, the Dwarven languages and the Elvish languages. He had written those languages before he ever penned The Hobbit.
Really?
He had written them, I think, a few decades before.
Oh, now that's fascinating.
He created Middle Earth to give his languages a world to come alive in. And I feel you have written this spaceship series so that all the things that you've been teaching us for so many years could be enfleshed in real places, in real characters, in real plot twists.
Just please tell your listeners that my hands are
They will see.
above.
They are in the air.
Oh, just keep. I love it. I love what you're saying. That is just awesome.
Can we say that your words became furthest and dill tutted among us?
Oh, that is really, really, really. That's yeah. Wow. Yeah, that goes. Yeah.
And Rob, and it's coming. I feel it coming. I love reading, but I love listening to you more. So I listened to you read these two books. And when Nunez shows up in book 1, from that, I got to that point at about 10 or 11 o'clock at night one night, and I went to bed, and I laid there, and I laid there, and I laid there, and the tears just started rolling and rolling and rolling. And for 2 days, and Suze can bear witness to this, for 2 days, I couldn't work. I couldn't function hardly. I just kept and I mean, I kept weeping. Now, I'm a spiritual director that lives with my heart open and all of those things. And I haven't experienced something, it cracked me open in some way that has never happened to me before. And so you've given us this beautiful narrative that does what narrative can only do, that does what story can only do, which is crack us open. I mean, the information you've given us for so many years you have taught us how to see. You've taught so many how to see, and how to find fresh eyes to see the world in an entirely different way. But this is so much deeper than that, and so much wiser in a village elder kind of way, where you're giving us an oral tradition, where all of your wisdom accumulated over the former selves and iterations of Rob, man, have just culminated into this beautiful, beautiful work. And thank you. It's a lot of hours and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that would have gone into that. So thank you for being faithful to showing up and to saying yes to all of those invitations. Because, yeah, thank you.
That is so awesome. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's what it felt like. Felt like I started telling the story, and it was very disorienting because instantly it felt like everything was a warm-up. And it's an odd feeling because it's been a wonderful, heartbreaking, devastating, joyful ride. It's been all the things. But as I started following this story and telling it and watching it appear on the page, I had this like, it was warm up for this. And the absurdity of spaceships and all these different planets and making up all the names was somehow like the universe winking, because I was like, no publisher is asking for this. Why have I never felt more alive making something than this? and no one's asking for this. And literally, if I took this to New York and took this around to publishers, they'd be like, "This isn't a Rob Bell book," and I'd be like, "Weirdly enough, I am Rob Bell, and this is a Rob Bell." I just knew that even that
That's right.
discussion would be like, "Yeah, where's the?" And I had experienced in the months before I started writing, and I was trying to write a Rob Bell book like the previous Rob Bell books. I speak about Rob Bell like a third person, like a rapper,
it is in a way.
like a rapper,
It is
you know,
in a
like
way.
Rob Bell.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I was so bored. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I realized that I kept feeling like I'd come to the end of something, but I noticed that there was something about explaining things. It was like a very profound, "You're done explaining. What we're doing next, you don't have to explain it ever again if you don't want. You just invite people into a world." It was literally like a permission slip that I could fill out if I wanted. If you don't want to explain stuff, idea A, and then idea B, and then idea C, and there's like a thesis, and it's flow. It was like, just if you just want to like make a giant sprawling, because right away I could see book 2, book 3, book 4, and then ancillary books that would like, and then as soon as in book 1, when Heen's friend Nord writes the play, and I had written a play called What's in Nucka, so the character writes a play, but then I had just published that play, so I was like, oh, this is such a self-referential, and it was like this moment of either back away and be like, this is like so absurd, or double down and just, because I would be writing along in the story and start sobbing, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, this is evoking so much about who it was, it's like and I didn't really know who to, I was like, I don't even know how to, it was like even interesting to even know how to process it. And I remember saying to Kristen one day, okay, so all day long when I've been like doing my air quotes work, I've actually just been figuring out how to do the normal things I do, like around the edges, because I've been like writing this book, and I'm hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It's like twice as long as any of my other books.
Yeah.
And I'm only a month or 2 in, and I don't know what's happening, but I don't know if anybody will ever care, if it will ever be published, if it will ever, like, I may lose money, it may sit in my computer and no one may read it. And yet it's weirdly opening me up and doing something in me unlike anything I've ever created. And she's like, I mean, literally, she pauses for 1 second and says, well, how else would it work?
What a gift.
Like,
what
how
a
else would it
gift.
work? Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, so that
What a gift to have that level of trust too.
Yeah. So you seen me like that is very, very moving to me. And I don't like the first interview I ever did about book 1, the interviewer with a large stack of like thick theology books behind him would say like, you know, question, he would ask the question or whatever his question was. And I would say like, I know that I was so surprised that Heen says that. And I was so intrigued by what happens when he had to like stop. He's like, wait, stop. You're talking about this book like you didn't write it.
Let me introduce you to the muse.
Yeah. So what was so interesting to me is the discussing, like meeting you, and you're in Australia and I'm in California, and we're talking about it. It was almost like having a book club, a really interesting book club to me, because I started doing interviews about the book, learning about myself. People literally would make connections. I'd be like, oh, you're right. And it's a very sort of surreal, really interesting twist I didn't see coming, that it's been thoroughly enjoyed.
Story.
Yeah.
That's the power of story.
Yeah.
That's what story. Yeah, I've just grabbed a couple of quotes because they just, as soon as I heard them, I said, "Oh man, that's so good. That is such a great quote." Rom says, "All you had to do was push a button. All you had to do was push a button. You've done," and that's your guy with the theology books behind him. He goes, yeah, do the technical, yeah. All you have to do is push a button.
Oh, when he finds
All
out in
you-
flight school that you just a
Yes.
spaceship just requires you pushing a
Yeah.
button, he's so
After doing-
angry.
After doing all
Yeah.
that technical stuff, you go, "Oh, so you mean I just have to close my eyes and open my heart and sit there, and all the stuff that this stuff is pointing to is just right there? You just have to push a button."
Oh wow, that's see
went-
once again. You're right. That's a really, really yeah. That's really fascinating that you'd see that way. That's really interesting.
Because he did all the school, and you go, yeah, you're supposed to go to school and learn all this stuff in theology and biblical studies and blah 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 blah, and Hebrew and Greek, blah. And I love it's fun. It's a great sport. Look, I mean, hey, the Dodgers.
Yeah,
That's a good sport.
yeah,
That's a good
right,
sport.
right.
But like the theology and the books and all, and it's like, and I have people that come and sit in my office with me, and I've got my books of shelves, my shelves of books. And I studied. I mean, Hebrew is still a huge part of my life. I'm in the Hebrew text regularly, and I go, just so you know, like that's an interesting sport to play. It's an interesting game to play, but if it's not transforming the way that you're being a dad, I don't really care.
Yeah,
It's
a head game. Becomes a head game.
It's a head game. It is a head game. So do it if you want. Don't do it if you don't want. It will not make you closer or more open, or it will not connect you any more deeply. My last podcast was on Ruach, and to understand this ancient power of spirit, this animating energy of life. Well, yeah, but if it's just so you can get your doctrine of Trinity, like, who cares? Gross. Who cares? Like, I sit in an office with a systematic theologian. I share an office with him sometimes, and he's brilliant and he's beautiful and he's a wonderful human being. And sometimes I'll just go, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't like, yeah. And that's not fair to him. He's a beautiful human being who lives very awake. But I just go, it's just words on a page if it doesn't, the earth was saturated in separateness. Mayor Dobby says that's what happened to earth. It was saturated in separateness. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, you in some ways, for many people, it feels like a crisis of the modern world is you have all these bits and pieces and fragments. You have the events of your life. You have world events, elections. You have all these things. And then once in a while, there's a feeling like maybe all of it is somehow connected to each other. And that can become a moment for great elation and celebration. Like, oh, it's not all random. Or you can move to seeing the whole thing as a whole. Reality is actually one at its core. So there is me, and this is an experience I'm having, my life, my experiences, or we are an experience it is having, reality itself.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can move from separateness to union. And so if you think about color, think about any, like the most basic division. Red is not blue, blue is not red, but they both exist to the category of color. So all parts, divisions, and divides actually, if you go one click up, belong to the same category. So humans, no matter how much humans divide themselves, actually belong to humans, which belong to inhabitants of the same planet. So all divisions and differences and dualities, however real they actually are, and someone bombing a hospital or bombing a school is a real pain. If you slice your hand, that is real blood. That you lose a child, as you know, that is a real ache. And yet, all of that difference, division, and distinction is taking place within a whole. So it is both true and an illusion. So you think in every wisdom tradition, however they name it, waking up, enlightenment, however they would name it, wisdom is a recognition of the unity that all of it is taking place within. So as soon as the person, I think about the people who there are always those people who come along who supernaturally irritate us. There's us over here and that person over there. So you think about, they can drive you crazy. The family member who just knows how to say those things that just lodge in your frontal cortex. They hide knives in their words. You can continue to see yourself over here, them over there, the enemy, the other. Or you can move to, what is it about this person that so provokes me?
Yeah. Everything is a teacher.
You can move to, what has this person come to show me about myself? You can move to, oh, what an interesting teacher. And in that moment, what you have done is transcend the me over here, them over here. In our house, we call it advanced player mode. You're no longer pushing back against
That's great.
the me over here, them over here. You have now moved to all of this somehow is for me, even the things that are clearly against me. And everything gets way, way, way more interesting.
Way more interesting. And the thought that what Mayor Darby says, and I'm kind of talking about the first book, but is that continued, ongoing refusal to see myself in the other, the God self in the other, eventually ruins Earth.
Yeah, right. It just keeps it just
gets browner and browner and browner.
Right. So the personal is the political. Anytime you have a question about a larger political question, the political is the amalgamation of just thousands or millions of personals. So so when people are just mystified by the political, an interesting exercise is to find it within yourself. So for example, when you are resentful and you're in an argument with somebody that you love and you have all these resentments that built up, it's probably not peak rationality. You're probably going to say things where as you're saying them, you're like, this is the dumbest thing to say right now. This argument just went from a half hour to 3 hours just by me saying this. So when you're like, why would people vote for that person? Well, find your own, they're owned by their resentments. Oh, okay. Well, so you're looking to find these things. The modern world is profoundly disorienting. In the moments when I am disoriented, I can either assume that this disorientation is an invitation to some new reordering, or I dig in my heels and I idealize how things used to be ordered and try to get back there.
Yeah, it's almost like this world midlife crisis.
Absolutely.
That says,
right, absolutely.
Instead of letting the thing die and fall apart.
Right.
And saying, I guess that thing wasn't, I guess all the stuff that I thought was real isn't. I'll double back down and get a faster capitalism or a faster this and a hotter whatever, you know?
Right. And for Americans, this is a very real, a large number of Americans, like a perceived moment somehow when America was the greatest, which is a mythology. You can try to reclaim that mythology, which has no substance to it, or you can allow that mythology to properly die because its egoic structure is unsustainable irrelevant and actually not even true.
Not even true. Yeah.
So
that's
the
right.
death that's required of certain mythologies we tell ourselves or a group of people have clung to for a while. Yeah. That's all very real.
Anytime you hear somebody saying, "Oh, if we could just go back," and you go, "Hey, that's the wrong direction."
Yeah, the literally you think about
the wrong direction.
13.8 billion years of expansion. The universe doesn't actually go back. It just keeps. It's a fundamentally generative reality.
Yeah. Which makes it a generous reality.
Yeah. So there are times
opening and opening.
Exactly. There are times when something vital was left behind and needs to be retrieved and reintegrated. But that's a different kind of energy than we just need to make this how it used to be. There's a very subtle difference between those two, but significant. Yeah.
I'm aware you said you're picking up your daughter, so I know your time is probably somewhat limited.
Oh, let's I don't even know. I don't even know. Were you asking questions? It was so enjoyable. I lost where we even were.
I don't care where we were. I just want to be aware of your time, and I just
let's go. Let's do a little more, of course.
Okay, beautiful. I noticed both Heen and Noon Ye. They've got these threads that I happen to pick up. Oh, this right here. This is a Heen Serpong moment. I'm sure you've picked that up. But I say that to say, Rob Bell, I'm aware of you. I'm aware of you and the many, many things that you've been a part of and been on and things. So in my spiritual direction training, part of what I do is working with the Enneagram with people to help them awaken. And there just happened to be a couple of 7 threads I've picked up in Nunye and in Heen. The notion that Heen shot around the universe from place to place to place, and I think the quote said, the leaving and the never considering staying. And that sense of the 7 that says, if I was to stay here and become present to where I am, there might be something that's really painful.
Yeah.
I have to become aware of. Something I have to deal with that I would rather keep moving from. And it's not until he hits Furtus and all of a sudden when he begins to accept the invitation to be there, that his heart begins to feel vulnerability for the very first time. And he begins to be transformed because he doesn't leave again and he stays. And the invitation there to have someone mess with him. and then so that was like, I heard that and I was like, man, that's 7 playground right there. And then in Nunye, the girls with the hair.
And she hates them. She
hates them immediately.
Doesn't even know what's going on inside of her. She's like, what is this
brushing
volcanic?
their hair? But what it was is that they had somebody to look after them. They had somebody that wouldn't allow them to go into the hole.
Be a plumber.
And to be a plumber. And unclog things that need to have been clogged. That is a great exercise in saying something without saying it. That entire scene is beautiful.
Yeah, I was wondering if readers would be like, I think she's 8 and becomes a professional plumber. What is going on here? But whatever you do, don't name it.
But
yeah,
don't name it. But the fact that she didn't have somebody to look out for her, that she had to figure it out on her own, and that there's no one that was going to be there for her. And there's a core wound, a childhood wound of the 7 that says, nobody's going to be here for me. And so I'm going to have to figure this thing out on my own because I don't trust that anyone's looking out for me and that my needs will actually be met. And so I've got to be the one to figure it out. And both of those just really struck me because there are moments with both, kind of like your friend with the theology books behind him. It is interesting. I'm hearing you read, and in spiritual direction, we have a beautiful saying that says, "You follow the tears." People
Yeah.
can say whatever they want,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you follow the tears,
Mm-hmm.
and to hear you've written and you've processed these words, but then coming back again and reading them, there are these strong emotions, and so what I don't want to ask is, wait, so are you Heen or are you Serpent? I don't. That's boring. Those are, and to know that, man, these stories have come from within you, and those energies would be strong in you and ones that you would have had to, I know because you've done such deep work, would have had to face at different points. But yeah, that thought of, again, it being somewhere else or running from the pain that I don't trust that I can actually handle. But when he does stop, it actually transforms him.
Yeah, right. I loved when he begins to feel, it's almost like he begins to thaw, but his first, he begins to realize that he's numb, and he begins to tell you, the reader, you're in his head as he begins to wonder if perhaps he's quite numb. And I think this has something to do with grief. It's like you're watching him begin to like take these various circles and begin to connect them into a larger circle, like these different points. And I love how, like, when in the bakery, they'll be having to discuss, like Ziga May will be having a discussion about Philippe and her broken heart. And he'll jump into the discussion. Then he'll be like, what am I doing? I don't talk about other people's stuff. Like, he's finding himself sucked in to the everyday dramas of these people around us, but he's also narrating, like, why would I care? I don't care. I just do my job and get out of there. And then as he's actually starting to feel, his first feelings aren't like a warm oneness hug with all sentient beings. This guy keeps showing up, Dil Tud, at the random times and walking with him, and just supernaturally gets under his skin. So his first, as he begins to feel, it's like irritation, just a low-grade resentment towards this guy who acts like they're friends and just starts talking to him like they have some history they don't. And that to me, how he just keeps catching himself, and then this kid Lines gets lost, and he's like, why the hell, like, why do I care? I don't care about what he doesn't understand. He's like living himself in to this full-bodied experience of life, and the whole way he's just going, almost like to the reader, like, I'm not like this.
Giving a defense for himself.
That was utterly, I just loved it. I just loved all that running stuff in his head.
Yeah. Oh, but that was one that I noted in the notion of following the tears. I noted the strong emotion that came up within you.
Yeah.
As he looked for Lines and as he found him,
and he's like, can't figure out why it matters. He's like, it matters. It has something to do with what he has lost decades ago, essentially. This thing that happens to us, this experience where it's something suddenly means so much to us for reasons unknown. And it just evokes tremendous, and we find ourselves like almost embarrassed or standing at a distance from it, or like, what is, like, you're a spiritual director. People are just like, I don't know why I have so much emotion around this. We apologize for the tears when in fact we're hitting a vein of some
always.
sort. It's like the subconscious. It's like we're learning how much of the show is actually run by the subconscious.
Yeah.
And that the art of being aware is the subconscious, like the water level of the subconscious rises just another millimeter or inch so that we can see it. And what was previously unseen, we can, oh, that's why I always respond this way. Oh, that's why so-and-so tweaks me like they do. Oh, it's like what was previously, the unconscious becomes conscious.
That has been more than a parlor game or party tricks. That has been the gift of working with the Enneagram for some, I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
10 years now. Because it does, it brings the deep reservoirs of your soul up.
Yeah.
And allows you to name them. When I had that strong, powerful emotion, it was around that same part of the book. I had to remind myself, don't be too quick to name it, but feel it. Don't try to analyze it. Don't put it in a box. Allow yourself for a day to feel it. Like it'll make sense. It will make sense, and we'll unpack this and all that. But just to allow the pain and because it was a grief weep. You know, there was a lot of grief.
Oh wow, wow.
And I could feel that. And so I didn't want to betray that grief by trying to analyze it too quickly, but just to allow it to be.
Man, I can't just to tell a story like this and then meet somebody in Australia who is having an experience with the story like I have. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome.
Diltud. Diltud.
Yeah.
My man, he has chairs at the center of his garden.
Yeah, right.
He has gone to prepare a place for them to come.
Yeah, you're like, what is he waiting for?
Why does he have chairs?
What has he built? What is he living in anticipation of? What's going on? Yeah. Yeah.
And I've gone to prepare a place for you to come when you're ready. And what has he created? The Edenic imagery. He has built a garden.
Well,
he takes from that garden and goes and spreads it out from the garden into the rest of the world to bring a little bit of the Diltud Eden to the broken and the dark places.
Love it. There might be a book coming that you'll have to slightly tweak some of that reading.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fair. Good.
No. Have at it. I love it. Yeah. You might at some point get some backstory that'll be like, oh, okay. Didn't see that coming. Okay.
I love that. I love that. Well, we work with what we know.
Yeah, right.
And then we grow.
Well
and
said.
We change our interpretation.
Well said.
Isn't that? And I don't think all the negative prefixes on words, like you can just continue to construct. You don't have to put a D. We don't have to spin this in a negative. You can go, because that was my experience. I go, no, you just keep learning. You just keep finding a new way.
Get pulled into something better, right? By the way,
and
years ago, where was it? In Ohio, I was doing a book tour and I was on a podcast with these lovely guys who had a podcast called The Deconstructionists. And the podcast started and I said, "Are you done? When will you be done?" But I just love the idea that if you take it apart, fantastic, have at it.
Great.
But at some point you will stumble upon something that is good and true and beautiful. And then you'll follow it. And your energies will be less about taking apart and more about, let's see where this goes.
And even the stuff that isn't so helpful, it still has to find a way to be integrated in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just turning the earth into separateness again. I'm just saying, well, that doesn't
Yeah.
belong. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
it does belong.
The story
It does
story
belong.
worked until it didn't.
Yeah. And so you just keep learning. And as I continue to learn, that means something else. I go, oh yeah, like no, scientists aren't going, oh man, we've got to dedicate all this work into undoing that theory. And you go, no, we just adopt a new theory.
Yeah, it's just a better one.
It's just a better one.
Yeah.
No problem. You ended book 1 on the words "I am," and I just thought that was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, because Nunez just keeps. She has these very short, curt responses, and Heen starts to pick up on it. Like, wait, you don't ever let on. You have no history. You let on to no history, but we know you have to have a history. And and she just she's a big Puma master at like opaque, just presence. I'm just present. I'm just here.
I
am.
Which is what I am, and that old Hebrew notion of what that means, which is the notion of I am with you. I will be with you.
Yeah,
I will be with you. And as they walk towards the, their own places, they go, yeah, I will be with you.
It's like the one thing a human being knows for sure is there's some sort of I here. I have some sense of an I, which is the fundamental distinction between the rest of creation. There's some sort of I who's having some sort of experience of being. There's some sort of amming that I'm doing. That's all I got. Beyond, if you tell me I was born on August 23rd, 1970, I would, okay, I guess I'll trust you. I don't recall. I was there apparently, but I don't think of how little you actually know absolutely or for sure.
Yeah.
Other than there's some sort of I here having an am.
This is probably maybe this is conversation number 2 in some time down the future or whatever. But the Hebrew word for wisdom is the word chokhmah. And chokhmah is usually used in Proverbs, Psalms, the kind of the classic wisdom literature, Ecclesiastes. But the first place it shows up is in Exodus, when this housing of the divine presence is to be constructed. And Bezalel is the first person to be said to have chokhmah. And it's about the fact that he's a skilled
tradesman,
craftsman.
Yeah.
He's a tradesman. And all the people who had to sew and all the people who had to craft jewels and spin yarns and they were said to be filled. It gets translated usually as skillful work or whatever. But the word is the same that shows up constantly in Proverbs as just chokhmah. It's wisdom. I'm curious what your experience has been, because I know there's been past work that has you've explored the connections between suffering and creativity, but this notion that wisdom seems to be this creative flow from spirit that we can partner with to make something beautiful and useful and helpful and holy. That when you are doing something beautiful, when you're right, that's why I say this is your wisest work. It's your most beautiful work. And there's something, it's not like the beauty houses the wisdom. It's like the beauty is wisdom. The art itself is wisdom. Do you have a sense of that connection?
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying is, for years, my work was, here's the big idea, here's the words, what they mean, here's a way to understand the practical implications, here's another way of saying it, Here's an example of it. Here's an illustration. Here's another way of applying it. Here's another word. Here's another tradition. Here's another text. Here's what I just said slightly differently. Here's what it means. Here's what it can mean for you. Here's what it means for me. Here's another way of saying what I just told you. Let me retell you what I just told you.
Totally.
And there was
Totally.
something about in the large arc of my life, these books arrived, and there was something within them about, would you like to be done explaining things? And there was something about, yeah, I would. It was almost like I had been doing it, and a friend of mine was very straightforward. He's like, yeah, you've been doing a job, and now you're doing a different job. Like he was like, literally, like, you've been a scribal interpreter of a text for people.
Yeah.
And that's a job. Yeah. And now you're discovering that it had a certain weight to it, and you've loved it, and now you're doing something else. But and the reason why your question is so compelling to me is this story the writing only comes, it's like a spell. So I could tell you things that are going to happen in the story at some point, but on any given day, it's just a Wednesday, and I'm just following the story as I'm in the story, and I have a sense of where it's headed, and I'm also surprised. It'd be like filming and creating your favorite Netflix show that you're also watching like a split with like a millisecond delay. You're writing it, but also caught up in it. And what's this person's name? Oh, oh, Shucks. Of course it's Shucks. I don't know where that came. Well, he has a brother. Of course he has a brother. What's his name? Whoosh. Shucks and Whoosh. Yeah, done.
Yeah.
So it is. And if I were to think of somebody I know, I don't even there isn't even like, oh, this is the point I'm making. The story would go cold. Or even this character is modeled after this person I know. The character would immediately die on the page. It's a strange surrender of even understanding what this is about or what I'm trying. There is no point. I don't know what the point is. Even I've noticed in interviews, someone would say, on page 142 you said, and I'd be like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. So what's fascinating to me, like when Heen is learning about this place called the Angels, which apparently is a city, which he can't really fathom. And he discovers this mysterious book that describes this place that sounds like chaos, but it also is pulsing with something. Only later would I be like, oh, he lives in a universe that's extremely tightly controlled. And if you move from that to a more free-flowing, democratic, you get chaos. You have an element, he actually feels the thrill of it and also the risk of it. And I have to have enough distance to see that's the fundamental question in the world right now is with a changing world, technology, globalism, late stage capitalism, the wheels coming off. Think about how many governments around the world are veering into a fascist, strong-armed. How do we deal with the uncertainty of this moment? Just find a daddy. So what's fascinating to me is whatever is happening in the story, I'm not aware of it in the moment. It's just something which gets very mysterious. I'm sort of caught up in, and I kind of know where it's headed, and I also don't know. You know what I mean? So the wisdom in it, it's almost like a dream where every character in the dream, you wake up in the morning and you're like, wait, what was going on in that dream? Every character in the dream is some aspect of the self. So I do. There's something, and it's funny to me to think it's so much more compelling to me, the story, than all the years spent. This is what I'm saying. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
This is the Hebrew
Yeah.
word, which is great. It's great. It's developmentally. It's fantastic. We need
Totally.
that sometimes. It's just, it's interesting to me how you take a C.S. Lewis, you take a Tolkien, you take people who did straightforward, this is what I'm saying. This is what it means. Here's an image. How many people over the ages eventually move into these sprawling worlds, creating these worlds?
Yes.
Like,
the space trilogy.
at some point, you think about Douglas Adams, or you think about right now, like the Dune movies and Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, no, I just got to bring you into this world. Just come on in.
Yeah, the art itself is the wisdom. I don't need to. It's not in the words; it's in the world.
Yeah, just come on in. You'll see. And I like. Yeah, we'll see what you see. That's what'll be interesting. I don't know what you'll see. Last thing I do is tell you what to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know.
Which is, yeah. Well, and the gift that you've given is that even though, and yes, you're right. There was a, I mean, what, 30 some odd years of telling things.
Mm-hmm.
And you can acknowledge that the way that you told things was also very beautiful. The way that you gave information was also beautiful.
It's been a wonderful ride. Yeah,
of course.
Mm-hmm.
You've always done it in a beautiful way, in a compelling way. Maybe I'll ask you one or two more things, and that is, what do you find your heart is longing for these days?
Slower I move, and the walk the dog, enjoy the coffee, catch some waves. The universe in the particular. I'll get on my bike, ride home when I'm done talking to you. I'll probably say hi to my wife. I'll get in the car, go get my daughter from school. How all of it can be found in a very grounded, calm life going about your day. And I came out of this particular heritage that was all about going to the ends of the earth. And then that had combined with late stage capitalism, whatever you do, expand. Whatever you do, up and to the right. So let's get on another airplane. Let's go to another place. Let's talk to another group, which was lovely. It was a wonderful, it's been excruciating and exhilarating all at the same time.
Yeah.
But there's something about whatever this is where then I'll see my neighbor, and then I'll go around the corner and get a burrito. Then I'll go. Tonight's Halloween here, so people will be trick-or-treating in our house, coming in our neighborhood. Then I'll pick my daughter up from this bonfire party, and she'll give me the lowdown on everything that happened at the party. And
so good.
And then a couple weeks, my son just moved to Brooklyn, so we'll go to Brooklyn. He just sent me. He's a musician. He just sent me his newest single that he's mixing right now, and wants notes on what I think about the mix. It's not that it's enough, it's more than enough. There's a certain depth. It's like we have this linear time. This interview was at 2:00, then there's 3, then there's 4, and then there's the now. What time is it now? In which time sort of fades. Like you and I have been talking now for an hour and 20 minutes.
No way.
Yeah. So what's so fascinating to me is about how the moments when we feel most alive, time fades and dissolves and dissipates in some very tangible ways, and you're just left with here, now. So that's what's interesting to me.
For 7 to be asked for what they're longing for, and then say, "Oh, there's nothing to long for. It's all here."
Yeah.
You might dissipate. You might just dissipate into the.
That's yeah.
I won't ask you anything else, but I'm gonna say one more thing. You and your lovely wife, you guys put together a little audio book called Launching Rockets.
Yeah.
And
That's going back.
And that's going back. There were, I mean, so many steps to what it is to be a parent. So many thoughts, so much wisdom in that, so much wisdom. And I just want to say, you have clearly launched 3 beautiful rockets. Clearly. And you, Rob Bell, have launched so many more.
Wow.
And I'm a rocket.
Wow.
I'm a rocket that you've launched. And I'm just so deeply grateful for you. I'm so deeply grateful. You mean the world to me. You've launched many, many rockets. Many rockets. And you are a gift. You are a gift to the world. And you're a gift to me. And I'm very thankful for you.
Dude, and we're just now meeting. How awesome is that? You know what I mean?
Whew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. And then we meet up. And apparently we've been friends for a long time. Isn't that awesome?
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be sitting with that for a while. That was some proper dill tud right there.
Oh, my brother, you're so loved.
Thank you.
So adored. And yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
My
for doing
pleasure.
This is a gift.
Man, oh
my
man.
goodness.
Well,
if I find myself in LA, I'll come and have a burrito. With you.
Done.
Much love.
Give my love to your family. That was really great to meet them.
Yeah, beautiful.
Peace.
Peace.
See you down the road.
Joy.
All right.
Bye, Rob.
Bye-bye.